Alright guys, so now let's start building our product details page. So if you go back to our folder again, because I just forgot the route that we had created, so let me just go to app.js and it's book details slash and colon id. So that means we have to go to book details slash any number or a text, like we have to give the id there. Let's just try it out. So book details slash, let's just give an id of 1, hit enter, and there you go guys, we are being routed to the book details page. Yeah, so as we discussed earlier, I want the product details page to have like all the details of the book right, and I also want to have the book image somewhere over here, and then the book details over here, and kind of like add to cart button, and like that would be it. And also want the navbar and the footers as well. So let's start by creating like this book details page. So let's go back to the code and let's go to the book details page, right? So let's close this books page. Let me close like these tabs for now. I think we are like done with the books page, and let's just go to the book details page, right? Yeah, and here I've just added an h1 of book details page, and that is the reason why it's being shown here, right? So the first thing that I would want to do is add a navigation bar, and like we have created our dynamic nav bar, so let's just add a nav bar, and let's just set the dark, I think it was dark theme prop, so dark theme, and let's set it to true. And let's close this component, and let me import it here. So import navbar from, let's locate the navbar, so dot slash, let's go over to components, and inside these components we have the layouts, and inside these layouts we have the navbar, and inside the navbar we have the navbar file. So let's save this and see how this looks. If you save this up and let's go to our browser, and there you go guys, we are getting the navbar with a black background. And remember, because we have dynamically set up the styles depending on the prop, we are getting this dark background. Now let's move on to the main book details section. As I said earlier, I want to have an image which will be a little bit bigger, and then I want to have the like details over here. So we are going to have like two sections in a row. So for this, I think we should probably go with flexbox in terms of layout. So let me go over here, and like below navbar we are going to create that section, but I want this section to be a component as well. I don't want to like add the entire code over here in our book details page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to like create a component. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a component saying details section, right? Something like this. And let's just create this component. So in our layouts, let's right click and say new folder, and here let's just add details. I think we should go with section. Yeah, section. I think we should add a hyphen here, right? Because there are two words. And also let's just add hyphens in the product listing and product listing all folder names. So let's just to make it look better and organize our folders, so let's just add an hyphen, and also in our product listing all, let me rename this, and let's just add hyphens over here and over here as well. There you go. And I think we need to like change, or like we need to edit those components where we have like imported this product listing all, because I think we have to map it using this new names. So let me go to the books page, and here I think, yeah, we have added a product listing all, and we have imported it here. And here I want to change it to hyphens as well, so let's add the hyphens. If you don't add this hyphens here, we are probably going to get an error, because we have just changed our like folder names to product listing all, so we need to change that. So let's just save it up. Let's see if this works. Let's just check on to the home page. Okay, this is working fine. Let's check our books page. Not the books page, but I think it should be books. Yeah, yeah, it's working fine. And I think we should also like do the same thing for the product listing. And I think the product listing is being called in our home page. So let's go to our home page, and here in our product listing, let's just give a hyphen over here, and that should do the trick. And I think we have created we have created the details section over here. So let's create our JavaScript file and this and the like CSS file inside this folder. So let me create a new file saying details, like details section .js, right? And let's also create a CSS file saying details section styles .css. Okay, and here we are going to create a simple component as we do with every other like new component files. Okay, so we have created the basic component. Now inside this, let's just add an h1 tag of details section just for now. Details section, and let's also import the styles here. So right now we haven't created any styles, but let's just import the file. So import dot slash detail section detail section dot styles dot css. So if you save this up, and let's just import it here because like we have already like called it up inside our JSX. So yeah, let's just import the details section. So details section from components, layouts, details section, and details section. So we are importing from here to our book details page. Let's just save this up. Okay, now it's saying failed to compile detail section .styles.css does not match, and I think we have added a capital D here. It should be small d. Let's just save that, and now it will run smoothly. So if you go back to our book details page, book details DETAILS, and let's just give an ID of 1 for now. There you go, we have like detail section is coming up. Okay, because we are seeing this h1 tag. So let's just remove it for now. There you go. And now I want to have a container over here, so let me add a div of class name equals container, because remember we need the padding on the left and the right sides, and this container class will do that for you. And now I want to create another div tag. Now this is going to be our flex container. So flex container, right, like which is the main container, and this is where we are going to add up like the flexbox property, so that like the image container and the book details container are going to like are going to be next to each other instead of being on top of each other. So first let's create the book image container. So div class name equals book image container, and let's also create a div right next to it saying class name of book detail container, right? And let's just so we have the book image container and the book detail container. So let's just work with a static image for now. Let me just import an image. So I'm going to say import book detail image img from, so we're going to import it from the assets folder, which is I think right here, and books images, and I think we are going to use the jungle book webp file. So yeah, so let's just target that file. So jungle, this is just a static file. Okay, like we are going to change it dynamically later on, but right now we are just focusing on the UI. I keep saying this, but like yeah, this is how we're doing it. .webp, Let's just save that, and let's add an image tag inside our book image container. So image tag, just close that up as well, and inside our source attribute we are going to add this book detail image. So we are going to add it here, book detail image, right? And let's also add an alt like attribute of book image. Right, let me add, or like let's just add a book here. That is done. Now inside our book detail container we need some few things. The first one is the book name, so I think we need to add an we can add an h2 tag here to make it a little bit big. You can say book name, and then in a small p tag, right, we can add the author name, then in another p tag we can add a book description, and then we can add here we can add like other details like language, like on which language the book is written, language, and then we can add like book length. Finally we can add another h2 tag, I think, and here we can add a price, or like we can add an h3 instead of h2. And there you go. I think like this should be the main book details. Let's just save that, and let's see how this looks. Okay. So first thing is like that you can see is we do have the paddings on like right next on the left and the right. So now like we need to use the flex box in order to make these two containers right next to each other. So let's just start styling our details section. So let's just go to detail section.styles.css, and let me target the flex container first. So flex container, let's just add a display property and set that to flex. Let's save that. Now it's right next to each other, and I'm also going to add a justify content property and set that to space between, something like that. Yeah, and I'm also going to style the book image container and the book detail container together. So book image container and book detail container, and let's set these classes to a width of 50%, I think. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a padding on the top so that we have a little bit of white space with the margin, with the nav bar as well. So in our details section, let me add a class name here at the top section tag. So let's add a class name of detail section container. So detail section container, and let's target this over here. So dot detail section container, right, and let me add a class name, or let me add a style of padding top, and let's just add 5 rem, and let's see how this looks. And yeah, I think I should add something 8 rem over here, so it will give me much more white space, and there you go. I think this should do the trick. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to style our image and like set a static height and width for the image instead of like using its own default height and width. So we are going to target this image tag with respect to our like book image container. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to target book image container, and then I'm going to target the image, right, and let's just set its height and width now. So let's style its height now. So you can also style its width, and you can also style the height and width together, but I think if you can change like one, like dimension, like either width or height, then I think it's going to keep the aspect ratio. So we just have to see. So height, let's just add something like 300 pixels. Let's save that. Yeah, I think like regardless of what the height will be, it's going to like keep its aspect ratio. So I'm just going to add a height of 400 pixels here, and I think yeah, this size should, this size is much better, it's looking much better. So I'm going to like yeah, use this. So yeah, image section is done, and now I also want to center this image. Like if it's not centered, like let's just inspect and see how this looks. So you have the book image container, and then you have the image. Okay, you have the image, and you can see that it's like left aligned, it's not centered. So what we're going to do is we are going to center it in our book image container. Now one way of centering like an inline element, now since our image is an inline element, and this image is actually enclosed inside a block element. So if you guys see the details section, so this is an inline element, right, the image, and it is kind of enclosed in this div tags, which is the book image container, and this div tag is basically our block element. So one way of like centering an inline element like inside a block element would be to add a text align of center. Like that is one really cool trick, I think. Might not be the best one, like the best one would be the using flexbox, I think, but like everything depends upon you, like how you do it. Let me just show you what I mean. So let's just target book image container, and if I add a text align property of center, you can see that this image is actually being centered. So if you inspect this, yeah, now you can see that this image is being centered. And now although it's like centered, you might feel like this is actually going like way beyond its center position. And the reason why is because like it does have a little bit of white spacing in the image itself. So like we can't do anything about it unless we add like a custom custom like margin or padding. But for now I'm just going to leave it as it is, because later on when we import the real images, like it's not going to have any paddings or whatsoever. So I think like yeah, this should work. Or like let me quickly change the image to something else. So instead of jungle book, let's just add 3 men in a boat. 3 men in a boat. Yeah, I think this also has a little bit of padding on the left and right. What about 1984? Are this all, does this all have paddings? Yeah, these all have paddings on the left. Okay, how about atomic habits here? Okay, it's not being able to get that. I think it's in JPG. Save that up. Yeah, so I think this should do the trick. And like let's also have a border on the image, right? So let me add a border here. So let's just add a border of 1 pixels, and the type should be solid, and the color can be hash EEE. Let's save that. No, EEE is way light. Let me add DDD, and like yeah, this looks good. So our book is placed in the center. Now what we're going to do is we are going to work on our details section. So in our book name, let's just set the book name to Atomic Habits for now, right? And author name should be James Clear. So James Clear. For the book description, let's just add a random like text. So I'm just going to copy paste lorem ipsum, go over here, like generate, and let me just copy like this first paragraph, and let's just add it here as a book description. Now like if something like this happens, you can press Alt and Z in order to like wrap the text so that you'll be able to see in your screen. For the language, let's just set that to English. Book length, let's just set to, I don't know, I think it should be around like 300 pages. And for the price, let's just say 420, something like that. It might not be it's not the real price, I'm just adding a dummy value. Okay, so this is much better than before. Now let's start like styling it. Okay, the first thing is let's start styling the first first header tag. So we're going to style these elements based on our like book detail container, and like for some elements like these p tags, we might have to use class names. So let's style this h2 tag first. So I'm going to target a book detail container and then target the h2 tag, which is going to be our main header or the book name. So let's add so I just want to add a font size here of 2 rem. Let's see how this looks. 2 rem, I think it's going to be way bigger. Oh, okay, that's really cool. So we're just gonna go with this font size. And let's add a little bit of spacings around here. So, and for the spacings, what we can do is we can like target this p tags, right? So let's target that. So book detail container, and then we can target the p tag, and here we can add a padding of 1 rem on top and bottom, and then 0 on the left and right. And if you save this, and there you go, we have a lot of spacings over here. Next thing that I want to do is I want to have like an orange text in the author name. So let's target, or like I can add a class name here, and then say text primary, right? Let's just save that, and there you go, you have the author name set to orange. And I think I would want to add a little bit of line height in this paragraph so that they have some white space between the lines. So let me add a class name here of description. So book, like book description, right? And let's target that over here. So book description, and let's add a line height of, let's go with 1 rem. Let's see how this looks. Okay, it looks way cluttered right now, so let's me add 2 rem of line height, and now this looks way more. So how about 1.7? Yeah, this looks much better. And let me like add back the labels over in these two sections, that is the language and the book length. So let me add a label language over here, and pages, or like book length, right? And let's just save that. Okay, this looks pretty good. I think we can like make this language and book length a little bit bolder, because I think we need to have a little bit of contrast over here. And like to make it bold, what you can do is you can add a b tag over here. We can like add a value over here, copy this and paste it here, and there you go, you have the language and the book length set up to bold. And the final thing is to like style this pricings. Now again, like I need to set its currency, and since like I'm from India, like I don't know the actual dollar value of the books, so I'm going to use the rupee sign. Like if you are from a different country, You can use whatever currency that you want, and whatever you can set whatever value of the books that you want, feel free to like and for the rupee sign, I'm going to paste the code that we need, which is ampersand hash 8377 semicolon, and this is basically going to give our rupee symbol. If you go back and see, and there you go, we have the rupee sign. I just don't want the white space over here. Okay, that looks better. Now let's style this h3 tag. So let's style it over here by saying book detail container, and then target the h3. And here let me set the font size to 1.5 rem, I think. Yeah, 1.5 rem looks good. Let me also add a padding top of 1 rem. Much better. And finally, let's add a color of var primary color. So primary color, and then bright, right? Let's just save that. Let's see, and there you go, guys. So we have our pricing set up, and now the final thing I would want to do here is like create a button that says add to cart, but I have to figure out where I should like add that cart. Like I could add at the bottom here, and that would make sense. So yeah, let's just add it in the bottom below this pricing. So what I'm going to do is, let's go back to our details section, and here below our h3 tag, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an anchor tag, right? An anchor tag, and set the href for now to hash, and add a class name of cart button, and then inside it I want to write, I want to have a text of add to cart. Okay, let's just save that. Let's see how this looks. Okay, it looks way ugly. So yeah, let's just style this up. Inside our details section, styles, we are going to style the cart button, and here let me add, first things first, let's just say that this set the display property of inline block, right? Then let's add a padding of 1 rem on top and bottom, and 2 rem on the left and right. Let's also add a background color of var primary color bright, I think. And then let's add a color of the text to hash fff for the white color, and I want the text decoration to be none. So let's save that and see how this looks. Okay, this looks way better. And let me add a padding top as well, so, or like margin top in this case. Like, don't add a padding in the button. I think we should add like 1 rem, or like 2 rem. Yeah, this is looking way better. And I think finally we should add a little bit of drop shadow over here. So box shadow, I can add like something like 2 pixels, and then here I can add 5 pixels, and let's add a DDD, a little bit of faint gray. I think that will work fine. And finally, when you hover onto this button, I want it to be like black, so background color should be 111, and the color should be white. So color is already white. Let's not add a colon over here. Let's just save this and see. Okay, because we haven't added the hover, and that's why it's showing us the black background. But yeah, now it's going to look fine, and if you hover onto this, we are going to get the black button. So, and instead of 111, let me add a 222, because I think that black is really bright. Yeah, I think this looks good. And I also want to have a smooth animation, so let's just set our transition property transition property to like 0.3 seconds, and ease in would be our transition effect. Let's just save that. Okay, that looks way better. I think it's a little bit slower, so let me add a 0.2 seconds over here. Fine, that looks way better. Yeah, so I think we have also created the add to cart button. All right, so I think like this is it for the book details page for now. Now the final thing I'd want to add is a little bit of white space on the bottom, and then I want to add the footer. So let me go back to our detail section.styles.css, and here let me also add a padding bottom of a trim, right? There you go. And finally I would want to add a footer section over here. So let's just go back to our book details, because that is our main like details page, right? And we have added a details section over here, so let's also add a footer section, and let's import the section first. So import footer from, and let's just locate the footer file. So we're gonna go back and let's go inside the components, inside layouts, inside footer. We have the footer.js file, and let me bring the footer component here. Footer, let's just save that, and now you can see we have the footer component as well, which is brought up. And I think guys, this is it for the product page. I don't think I would want to like add anything here, because we have the image, we have the details, we have the add to cart button. Currently it's not working, but we're going to make it work later on, and we have the footer. So I think this is it for the book details page. Okay, so we are way ahead in terms of the UI. Like we have created our home page. Yeah, so we have the home page over here, and we also have set up our books page. There you go, set up. And finally we have our book detail page set up as well. Okay, so we do have our three like UIs, and the reason why we like worked with these three pages first is because for these three pages, like we don't need any authentication. Like any user who visits your website is going to come, who is going to come to your website, can like navigate through these three pages. Okay, but like once you enter the add to, but once you hit the add to cart button, then we can like redirect him to our authentication page, and that's going to be like login or a sign up page. But yeah, if you're not logged in, if you're not signed up, like you can navigate through these pages, and that is the reason why we built it first. And like now, since these three pages are finished, I think now we can like start to add dynamic values inside our like UIs. Instead of this like single book, what we can do is we can add values to create like different books, and same goes for our homepage, right? We can use dynamic values over here, and also now I think it should be a good place to add functionality to these links and to these links as well.